to do so much in this room to get the light balance right, which I think is actually mostly putting something on that back wall. But start. Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. I don't want chat right. I'm confused. I never get chat. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Not bad. Okay. We have a fun question to do before we get started with the real thing, which is that somebody wanted to know, do I have the practice still running? No. Somebody wanted to know what winning percentage, what of touches people had is the question. And so we're going to talk about that for a couple of minutes. And then, so this is Vivian Kong. If you're so we get fencer ID, and that's just so we can run the query really quick for other people. We get the two, three, two, three, two, three, two, one. select all from got close my parentheses. We're almost got this. This is just what programming looks like. Fencer, select all from bounds. 2, 3. One, two, three, 2, E, 2, 3. I'm gonna give this like 2 more minutes and then we'll move on. Fencer idea select all counts as, okay, the fencer counts as, open the query, subquery goes till here. Alright, whatever. Didn't work. Figure that out later, get back to people. But anyway, the point is, Vivian Kong has won like 70% of her bouts. Bazadzi is almost at 80. Lee Kiefer is over 80. And they've only won about 60% of their touches, which is insane. That's not only, they won 60% of their touches. Okay, let's get started. Today we're going to talk about national schools of fencing. Damon Lefelt, who is on the U.S. board and is involved in doing analysis for the U.S. men's national team, has this blog, which is titled Your Meme Sucks. Posted this nice little article on a high-level analysis of different schools of fencing. I'm a long-time skeptic when it comes to this sort of thing because there's just so much variety within each nation. It comes down to the coach more than the actual nation. I think it used to be much more clear that all the French people and all of the French coaches taught one way, and all of the Italian people and all of the Italian coaches taught another way. I have a book about fencing from like the 40s, and it goes into this in a little bit of detail, talking about how all of the French fencers use French grip and all of the Italian fencers use Italian grip, and we have nothing remotely like that anymore. So I'm generally skeptical that people who say that sort of thing really mean it. But Damon's a smart guy, loves fencing, knows fencing, so I think it's worth checking out. And of course, he's data and analytics, and so he knows he's got data to back up. He's not just talking out of his ass. 36 countries, which is all of the relevant ones and a bunch more. The ideas boil down to 5 origins: France, Italy, Russia, Hungary, and Germany. That makes sense. France and Italy are, of course, the 2 founders of the modern fencing game. Hungary and Germany have their own long-lasting sword fighting traditions. Hungarian saber, German Messer, and whatever that crazy batshit frat fencing they do. And then Russia, when the Soviet Union came around and wanted validity through sport, they broke it down and created their own style without a lot of the baggage left behind from before. High-level generalizations. All right. France, timing, punishment, and simplicity. I will especially agree with simplicity. French fencing is really characterized by how little they move and do things compared to especially Italians. Subtle movements with their tip, definitely. Blade position in octave, that's down basically, is sort of hand up here, tip down a little bit. Could be an absence, could be not. A lot of beating, especially Burrell. The French are energizer bunnies, always on the balls of their feet, a little bit ahead. Yep, a lot of tempo movement, a lot of waiting and creating an opportunity and then capitalizing on it. Whereas I would say Italians will tend to be more a lot of false openings and slight pushes, and the French aren't going to try to go until they're going to go. This do not enter distance unless you tend to attack. And I think, hey TPR, welcome to the stream. It is Saturday. I don't know why you're working, except that you're too for your own good. The modern Russian style of fencing, which we haven't seen in a few years because of the Ukraine invasion, meant to pressure, overwhelm, and close on the opponent on the blade. Not find better fencers on the flick than the Russians. That's a strong generalization. But I haven't seen Russians in years, and I haven't seen particularly haven't looked at it in this through this perspective. Russians are multi-tempo beat boom, early parries, Short target, strong second intention parry or post. Physically, yeah, that's a very Soviet thing, is you just do intense training all the time. A lot of pressure. Which is interesting because I would have said, if anything, the Italians play with more pressure. But, he's the one who's really done the touch-by-touch analysis. Well, you put out fires at work, you couldn't work on your slides. Yeah, that makes sense. Italian style special is control. Control of the blade and control of spacing, control of tempo. I would have said they're about pressure and overwhelming you in your face. Or they're always doing things and you have to sort through all of the craziness to figure out what the real attitude is. See, and the most special part of the game is how well they close out lines. I would have said the most special part of the game is how freaking close they get. They're so close that you think you have an opportunity, and you just, if you're wrong, they hit you. You don't have any opportunity to get yourself out of a hole. Yeah, so if the French want to only enter distance when they're ready for it, the Italians are always in distance. Definitely very creative fencers. All the Italians look very different. Just a lot of maximal. No, that's not what I want to say. Doing a lot with a little bit, whereas the French try to do the exact thing. And I think there's just a lot of different Italians. It's hard to say that there's really an Italian style. I think there are some ideas that permeate the Italians. Getting close, lots of blade movement, lots of movement. So maybe that's what he's trying to say. Hungary, technique, tactical diversity, and simplicity. So obviously the premier Hungarian fencers today are Gergely Szeklosi and Thomas Koch, and they're very different fencers. They're very physical style, tactically methodical, very patient, strong on the blade, and more binds and engagements in prep. Unique to the Hungarian school is the idea of having two lines of defense, looking first to defend with the tip, followed by a barrage of parries. So this is particularly something you'll see with Koch, where his arm is very far out, and he's using the tip pressure with it in your face to mess you up, and then when you come in close, if you manage to get past that, then he'll take a parry. I don't know that the Hungarians get closer. I don't know about this tactical diversity thing either. I would say Szeklosi in particular is extremely precise, and he always is exactly the distance he wants, and he can get counters earlier and sooner than other people, and Koch has developed his extended arm style. So this I don't know anything about at all. There aren't any relevant male Germans, and I don't think the female Germans, Euler, Nadolo, fence much different than anybody else. But we're gonna, the whole point of this is to do a journey of discovery. We're gonna go through and see who does what. German French fence grippers haven't shied away from a blade brawl. Yeah, rediscovering the fencing identity is accurate. If you're a French gripper and you're trying to avoid blade contact, then you're handicapping yourself. You definitely have to be willing and able and happy with taking the blade, beating the blade, parrying, parrying opposition. There is no right and wrong. That's definitely true. So Gorbachuk is obviously a Russian name, and he coaches the Japanese. So it's always interesting. He's a Japanese national coach, but you don't make the Japanese national team or anything at that level without already having a style. Like you're already pretty set in stone. He's just tweaking it and making it better, making it more precise. So I would believe, for example, something like Korea has a strong national style because they have a very centralized coaching tree. You have to go to I think, I could be bullshitting, but this idea would be that if it's Korea, they would have this very centralized coaching style where everybody goes in and learns from the central school for coaches and then brings those ideas out. Or something like the States is people coming in from all over, a lot of imports. You learn from the people who taught you, and so there's all these different trees. Italy is probably somewhere in between. The Japanese are probably somewhere in between, but there's so many different styles in Japan, and that's what I think is more usual today. So over to Aristotle, pedagogy is very accurate. A lot of Russian coaches came in. Okay, so let's look at a few fencers from these various schools. First is the French. So of course we have to start with Burrell. So what do we got? Very small movement. He's waiting his turn, and then Broyev comes in. Here he's a bit more aggressive, but he's straight out, clearing the blade, and then straight in when he sees the opportunity. Even here you can see he's just waiting around for the hit. Straight in there. See if we can get some blade contact. Here he's in the octave that he was talking about. Octave again. Bardenay, also French. Octave. That's one that's broken. Anjosfi with the extended arm. Burrell with the counterattack. Nelson Lopez Portier. It's a broken clip. All right, see one more. Alexis Bayard, who is probably Swiss but fences very French. The other thing that makes this complex is that a lot of the smaller countries train in France or Italy. The Venezuelans train in France or Italy, so very little blade movement there, right? Like, this is going to be really interesting to watch here on the top right. Active tip, disengage, tiny disengages, and then finally finds opportunity where Bayard thinks he has it or has to go because he has it. Here's Bakos with the extended arm and Burrell with the counter. I don't know who that is. So watch the Italians, and you'll see that Burrell's got a lot less blade actions than they do. Let's watch Bardenay, the king of foot touches. Nope, that's not his first name. That's his last name. Here we go. King of foot touches. So look at Fong's blade here. Down, up, up, down, down, up, up. And then look at Bardenay's blade here. Forward, down a little bit, kind of bouncy, but just straight, bouncing, just straight, 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 and then go. So this kind of thing is what the fencing coach is talking about here. Who's a French fencer that breaks the mold? So Canon obviously is going to be a French fencer that breaks the mold. He's much more active and going like than these guys. But Canon spent a lot of time fencing in the States. down, up. See, look, much more active blade. Down, down, a little bit, kind of active blade there. So you can see there versus Galley, who's also French. Canon is looking way more active with the blade and with his feet. In and out, in and out. You don't see a lot of those probate actions in the middle here on the right, like that, than you would against, than you saw the other guys doing. Kendrick Jean Joseph, who feels like he's got 3 first names and you don't know what order to put them in. All right. See if this holds for the woman too. The women are interesting because the women's game in general is just much, much different. Okay, so this is a good one. Kandasamy is almost not even moving at all. She's not even bouncing. She's just arm back waiting. And Choi's doing all the work. Choi breaks distance, comes in, and Kandasamy just boop. Yuan Sun. So here she's been kind of active. Or Sun Yuan, sorry. Here she is versus Neto, I've never heard of before. Small probes, but those are relatively large in the women's game. But she's still probing pretty simple stuff. Sarah Bezbez, I'm pretty sure, fenced in France and just was represented Tunisia. Check out her sister Az's shoes, by the way, the Az's. Who is another French fencer we should look at for the woman? Ariane Malo. So let's get some here. I don't know how many of theirs I have. Yeah, here we go. Ariane Malo. Okay, so this is looking much more classically French. This first top one on the left. Poke, poke. But she's not engaging the blade. She's not fainting high. She's just applying pressure with her feet, really. Here they are against each other. Good counterattack here that looked like little pumps with her hand to mess with the distance, but really not a lot. Really good footwork pattern here. Push, push, back, 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 push, push, not back. Lee comes in. This is actually a great touch. Mark that for later. Yeah, so you can see it's the same kind of deal to a large extent with the women. I have to look at Kunana later. I'm going to look at Mulhausen later too because she's actually Italian. Or she's not Italian, she's Brazilian. She's always fenced for Brazil, but she fences like an Italian. Okay, Russia. We got to look at Bita. Love Bita. Bita's great. Ah, Zavrotniak. Good touch. Nagi with his arm very far back for a... Here you go, Bita just demolishing the blade here in the middle on the right. Taking 8, taking 8, taking 6, taking... Just throwing it around. Just making life difficult for Lopez Porsche, where he's got to do so much to get away from it that it just makes it hard for him to get his tip on fast enough. Rain for Germany. It's good because I don't really know any male German fencers. Yeah, you can see here he's always looking for blade engagement. Just actively searching and pushing at the blade. stepping in and taking 6 where all the French fences were extending. Was it Nochen German? I think so. Not German, French. Yeah. So let's see, we're looking for blade actions, right? On the blade, yeah, looking for blade actions. So here, yeah, great. Mirobi comes in and Ochan just slams his blade with the 2. And you can see where it hits on the blade. It's almost by the bell, which is awful for leverage. But he's so strong with it that he makes it work anyway. Watch it one more time on the right here. Flash 2, but great disruption. And see here he's taking 2, and takes the blade in 2 into 8. That's a 2 into 8, which is, he's really smooth with it. It's a really good action here on the left. So it seems definitely true that the Russians love the blade action more. Here's that flick that he was talking about. That was a great flick. Because if you disrupt the blade enough, then the hand just opens up and you don't really have a choice. I'm going to look up Violetta Kolobova. I don't know if I have any of hers. I have a few. Okay. Kind of looking for the blade here on the right. You can see it. Maybe I just have this one out. So that's more of a smaller one. So that one is actually not for the blade. Here's French versus, a straight counterattack. Maybe in opposition, but probably not looking for it. Yeah. Here we go, UC Han. Flick there, I think with the blade. Blagatskaya. Kazakhstan is probably fence like the Russians. Not seeing as much blade action here. I don't know if the Soviets just focused on the men more, or what. Or Kolobova could just be an exception. This is Violetta Krapina. She is now Violetta Bida, and she just had a baby a little while ago. That's Sergei Bida's wife. They fled Russia together after the war started, so we all love them. You should go check out their app. Bida Foundation app has really great footwork tutorials, and you get individualized video lessons from Sergei. Worth doing. I've not used it myself because I have heard very good things about it. Let's see. Looking here versus Kolobova. And we're looking for any blade actions. There's a beat, there's a take. Okay, so Kharpino does fence more like a classic Russian. Thank you. Link to their website, betafoundation.online. Much appreciated. That looked like a blade take there versus Shinalam. Here you go versus a Luxembourger. Good. So the women are fencing generally smaller and more precise than the men. That's the nature of the woman's game. And so, but Krapina is still working within that general overall style, looking for more blade contact. So maybe it was just that Kolobova was a bit of an odd pickle for a Russian. Okay, who do we got next? Italy. Oh, this will be fun. We're gonna look at Viveroli. Look at how much his tip is moving, and how forward he is leaning, and how close he's letting El Sayed get. He's not really doing anything because El Sayed will do everything himself. Beat, push, counter. Gets real close. And here you can see two Italians, Di Veroli and Vismara, who are practically overlapping bells with their tips. That's how close they're getting. Little push, and then Vismara makes the slightly wrong action, and Di Veroli picks him on the wrist before he can respond. Same thing here. Di Veroli is just getting super duper close. He's honestly not doing a lot. He's just standing in close. This is what I was talking about, where the Italians are more pressure oriented than I think Damien is giving them credit for. Giulio Gaetani, who should kind of a funky fencer himself. Look at that. He's coming in with a 2, which is crazy. And then draw probe, but Di Veroli gets the back flick 6. Big body feint there from Di Veroli on the right. Boom again, and goes. Rodriguez fences in France too. Good recovery though from that one. Let's look at Garazzo. This will be fun. This is probably a good one. Poke, and then take, and then go. And it's that kind of poke you don't really see from the French as much. Poke, and then go, and then that's the wrong Garazzo. Oh, that didn't do it. It didn't do anything. I think that's one we saw before. It's hard to say. Let's see what Garazzo does to open the third period here. Poke, pull. Good with the blade, good off the blade, good through the blade. But a lot of active pressure and poking with the blade to get his touches. Saw Navaria mentioned in the article. Here on the left versus Franzen. Emma Franzen, really good up and coming fencer. Poke. That one's not useful. She's just Russian. Cassie Nixon. Good counter-attack there, but not a lot to build it up. Let's see what happens here versus Malo. Not a lot. Here versus Schmidl. Still not looking very more French than Italian, according to what we've been learning today. Love to have two refs standing in view. Interesting. Let's watch Natalie Mulhausen, who is the Grande Dame of fencing. She organizes like all the FIE galas and stuff. See, look, taking the blade there. Very active with it. Good counterattack. Poke, poke, back, back. More active with the blade than you see from the French in a lot of ways. I do love the Brazilian mask. It does look really cool. So this is, I think, this one against Courtney Hurley here is one you, I think, is going to be a big signifier of the difference between the French and the Italian schools, both in general and in terms of what the fencing coach is saying, where Mulhausen is trying to hit 1, 2, 3 times, and really it's 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4.5, 5 times, and it's that kind of thing you don't see the French do. The French do 1 or 2 maximum, 2 maximum, and if it's more than that, then they're just either hit or they get back out. But it's that kind of mid-range, mid-level pressure and attempts, mid-risk attempts that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here also that the Italians do that the French don't. All right, Hungary. Hungary is going to be fun. There's a lot of really good Hungarians. We're going to look at Koch, who we analyzed on stream a while ago. Oh, that should not have reset to Epe. Should not have reset to all. Yeah, he's arm out. So first you have to get past the tip. If you get past the tip, well, you didn't get past the tip, but if you get past the tip, then you have to deal with the parry. Like here, it's past the tip, and then he's doing a receding parry into it. So really the exemplar of the style. And here we have this, just can't get past the tip, because if he's out here. He's out here, and if he tries to take the blade here, easy disengage. If he tries to do opposition or go around, do opposition, plenty of time for Koch to disengage parry. But if he tries to go too close, he gets counterattacked. It's very, very difficult to deal with, because this space where the tip is occupying is exactly where you want to be, but you can't get there. All right, now we're going to look up Sakloshi. This will be good versus Kim Jae-won. So that's a very different style here. Saklos's arm is out more than a lot of people have it, but it's not nearly as extended as Koch's is. And he's not prepping and pushing with it. He's just maintaining form and then taking what Kim gives him, which in this case is just a really strong parry or post that knocks him off balance, trying to avoid it. One, or maybe not, maybe just goes for the leg, but because Sakoshi is still upright, it's fine. Here's one where Seklosha's got to go get a touch, and he's not got the blade extended, but he's moving into his distance, and then you've seen his counterattacking, so he takes perfect parries. Here versus Elcord. Elcord's taking the blades, who's got perfect disengages. Here's versus Dovilensky. He's doing his severe absence. And so he draws out the final action parry to post. And Marco Paganelli, see what happens. Simple, high, weird kind of flungy kind of a thing, but high-low. I think Fazul Alimov was my pick for breakout star this season before it started, and didn't really come to pass, but he's very good. Paulo Alegre. So closely, just straight back into it. So I think this is just a very different style than Koch's, and he's just more precise and more accurate and more balanced. He doesn't have any one particularly good skill. It's this transitional thing that he's talking about. Whatever his opponent wants to do, Koch has Sekloshi has a perfect response. So here's Vivian Kong, who's the best women's epist right now. Straight Flesh and Kuhn versus Molterer of Germany. So that's the other one we're going to remember for Germany. So this is a good one versus Cassie Nixon here, where it's a shallow target hit. It's poke at the hand, take a parry. Take a parry, poke at the hand. Disrupt the blade, go straight. So this is the tactical variety that he's talking about. Another one versus Moltor, back flick. He's more extended arm than well, certainly in the men's game, but I think women have generally more extended arm. Kishimoto. Straight flush off the line, love it. Muhari, of course. I knew there was another one I was forgetting. Credit. Look at a few Muhari ones and then we'll move on. Nope, because there's no and Muhari. Camille Nabet, another very good French fencer, of which there are an embarrassment. Okay, that's not a good touch. So we see some blade actions here, but not as heavy as the Russians were, the Russian men at least. And his precision distance here. I think the Estonians would be my vote for the nation that focuses most on precision. They go exactly as far as they need to. But Esther is just better at it here than Katrina. Coraline Vitalis, yet another really good French fencer. Poking and pressuring from Muhari, getting in close, pulling back without getting overbalanced. So this is a really good one because it's one, and she's got her feet under her, and then it's 2 and she's got her feet under her, and then it's 3 and she's ready for it and just counter opposition. So this is the technique skill that he's talking about. That was a really good demonstration there. Back flick there, take 6, very good. Okay, so some of it. German style seeks to invite, draw the opponent out, and firmly close the line in defense. Ricarda, that's her name. I'll start with the woman this time. He's got the far out hand that we see from more of the Hungarians. And good counterattack there using it. See, look at the, oh, I don't want to do that. Look at the, come on. Look at the elbow gap between Song here and Molterer here. And she's just, whereas as Koch is sort of using that as an invitation to get in close, she's using that as a keep away. Here's another good example. It's far out. She's trying to take the blade and just goes in and counters. Sella Fiammingo, another great Italian. Yulia Taranenko, great Ukrainian. A lot of really good fencers in this database of international fencers. So yeah, a lot of defensive stuff. Here on the left, good counter. Wrong Molter. Pauline Brunet. That's not gonna go to time. Germany versus France versus Hungary. So yeah, so counterattack and then remise counter. See what happens here on the left. Yeah, another one. So a lot. So this is obviously not a representative sample, but a lot fewer offensive touches and a lot more counter-offensive touches. That was Molter, and that's Malo, but I don't remember why I linked that one. So this is Unterhauser, I forget his first name. Samuel Unterhauser. Not a lot of good Germans right now. But I guess they're still worth watching if the fencing coach thinks so. That's a counterattacky action. That's a, let's see if we can get a bit more of the flow of the touch here. So yeah, so Vrotniak is pulling and then going, and Unterhaus is ready for the counter. Counter attack there. Pulling and then going, same thing. Unterhaus definitely looks like he's on the more defensive end of things, which is in itself is interesting because before we talked about not about aggression or defensiveness, we talked about action selection, where the French were minimal in their action selection and the Italians were much wilder in their action selection, and the Russians are very on the blade in their action selection. The Germans are defensive, which is less an action selection, more an approach to the bout. You know, you push and then your opponent does something. Are you looking for them to attack you with that push, or are you looking for them to do something defensive that you can deal with? Here he is beating Garazzo, which is great. Obviously, if you're fencing a defensive fencer, the key is to get up early. And obviously, anybody at this level is quite capable of getting their touches. Kano, crazy. Yamada, very precise. Minobe, there is a continuum of wild French gripper that goes Minobe to Frazao from Portugal, Miguel Frazao, and then Sam Imrek, and then El Sayed. So basically, there's coaches who have philosophies that you follow, and then there's fencers who have preferences and styles and ideas that work better for them for any reason. And you want to create a consistent whole for your idea of fencing. And this is something I like to call a philosophy of fencing. Why are you doing these actions? You step in, why are you doing it? Are you applying pressure? Are you provoking an attack? Are you provoking a parry? Why are you doing it? How does taking a four like this play into your game versus taking a four like that? And so you have a French philosophy and an Italian philosophy, and I guess a Hungarian and a German and a Russian philosophy of fencing, and then you also have your own, which is based on how you like to fence and what your coach thinks, and ideas other coaches and other camps that you have taken, and old coaches and things like that. So it's worth keeping in mind, and it's worth keeping in mind that there's only a limited amount of truth in any of this, especially nowadays when everybody trains with everybody else in international camps, and you hire coaches from all over. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. I had a lot of fun with it, and have a nice day.